The brother of the American YouTuber Lee Carter decided to do a very special project, which is to replace the original Hellcat engine with the very famous 2GZ engine that was produced in the 90s on the Supra proper, 6 cylinders. Its capacity is much smaller than the Hellcat engine, but it is designed in an excellent way and can withstand very high power and pressure from the turbo boost. But before we begin, if this is the first time you are watching us, don't forget to subscribe with us here at Twin Power. Let's start mixing American with Japanese. This gray version participated in the Dodge restoration video, and it was the car that donated the electrical wiring and many supplies to the engine. So they decided to sell everything that remained from the powertrain of this version, and they added one of the most famous versions of the American sports car, with the most famous and most powerful engines in the history of Japan. This car is supposed to be the fastest car in their workshop, and its power reaches 1,000 horsepower on the wheel. They had a race scheduled for July 13th on a track near them, and that was a challenge. It's big for them. They need to prepare the car to participate in this track. Before any engine swap project like this, they need to take measurements of the car's tub and the new engine to ensure that the new engine will fit properly without cutting the bodywork. This saves them a lot of time and effort. They measured the width and found it to be approximately 30.5 inches. They compared this measurement to the tub of another Supra and found that the Hellcat was only about an inch wider. This meant that the new engine would fit comfortably in the Hellcat tub. The original Hellcat engine was the same length from top to bottom. They then measured the length of the new 2GZ engine and confirmed that the difference between them was approximately half an inch, even though the Japanese engine had 2 additional cylinders in a single line. They then decided to use a T65 Magnum transmission because it closely resembled the original Hellcat transmission in its dimensions. This transmission is one of the most powerful manual transmissions with 6 speeds. It was added to the 2GZ engine, GZ because it can handle a torque of up to 950 Newton-meters. This is the reason why it is one of the most trusted transmissions for people who do high-performance modifications. They installed the transmission in the new engine and put it in the car after adjusting its location, so they could install the rest of the parts, such as the manifold and turbo. To install the turbo kit, which is the secret to significantly increasing engine power, a manifold must be installed. The manifold connects the turbo to the engine. They used one originally made for the Supra Mk4 model to ensure easy installation and avoid any problems. They chose a radiator from Mishimoto, a Japanese company that supplies racing parts. Their choice was important to ensure the right size and would fit easily into the front of the car with the rest of the parts. They then removed all the internal parts and brought a Challenger 392 scap pack, taking only small parts such as bolts, connectors, and the radiator bushing. This saved time and money. They installed the radiator with its fan. After installing it, they noticed that the front space was a little cramped, but it was sufficient. Next came the crank pulley. Since the 2GZ wasn't the original engine of the car, it couldn't be mounted on the old mounts. So, they made new mounts specifically for proper engine mounting. Design. It was simple: a bushing, a mounting bracket, and a tube that connected to the engine block. They used a roll cage tube to hold the parts together. They had to order a larger bushing specifically designed to fit the exact dimensions they needed. After welding the parts together, they secured the new mounts in place. They removed the temporary wooden section used to secure the transmission. Then they fabricated a new transmission mount from steel. They noticed that the Hellcat chassis and the transmission mount were suitable for a simple but strong mount. They installed the new mount without any problems. The engine and transmission were now fully assembled. Then, they tried installing the manifold. They discovered that the air intake and turbocharger manifolds could be difficult to install. The air conditioning pulley was also protruding from the front. However, the available space was sufficient. The Challenger car they had taken was a good source of spare parts. They confirmed that the oil was in excellent condition. They tried to start the engine, but the screen displayed a problem message, that the car's computer or module was not working. It worked, so the car wasn't suitable as a spare parts source. So they bought another Challenger to replace the first one. They made sure the dashboard and gauges had no warning lights, except for one for the windshield wiper fluid. This meant the wiring and electronics were in excellent condition. The other version had a complete, intact exhaust manifold. This made installing the exhaust easier. They disassembled the car to get the wiring, while the rest of the team worked on the muffler. They removed the entire engine. They kept the original Hellcat computer. This is essential for the electronic systems to function properly. They began working on the muffler. The muffler consists of three main parts: the rear, the front, and a middle part called the dead pipe. The pipe is 4 inches in diameter. They used an oval pipe instead of the 3-inch double pipe. This gives better ground clearance. The challenge was connecting the 4-inch pipe to the original rear of the Challenger. The ideal X-shaped part didn't fit, so they decided to make a Y-shaped connection. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. After that, they decided to make a Y-shaped connection. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. They filled the gaps with welding. The team lifted the muffler system as one piece and installed it in the car. They tested the muffler valves to make sure they worked. The valve has a silencer to reduce the car's noise. They installed the WestJet connection. The lower part of the engine is made from an original piece, and the crank is original. The pistons, connecting rods, and journals are all designed to handle 1,000 horsepower. After installing the engine and muffler, it was time to install the turbo. The turbo they chose was a Garrett GT35R. This turbo is suitable for engines with power up to 1,000 horsepower. They mounted the turbo on the new manifold. They used a large air compressor to increase airflow to the engine. All hoses were made of high-quality silicone to withstand high temperatures. Next, they installed the new fuel system. The pumps and pipes were designed to pump a large amount of fuel without pressure loss. The injectors were large enough to fit the new turbo. They noted that the pressure on the fuel pump had to be precisely adjusted. Any misalignment could cause engine problems. Next, they installed the intercooler. They used a large aluminum front intercooler to reduce the air temperature after the turbo. They installed powerful electric fans to speed up the cooling process. They connected the pipes to the intercooler tightly. The entire installation was done to ensure there were no air leaks. Then, they installed the system. New ignition. High-performance spark plugs to handle the high power. The connections and electronic ignition were tuned for optimal timing. Any delay in the spark could cause loss of power or engine damage. The team tested all systems together. They ensured that the oil, fuel, and water were at optimal levels. They started the engine and heard the boom from the exhaust. The car began to run with great power. The sound was sharp and deep. The exhaust and valve systems worked perfectly. Finally, it was time to install the exterior body and secure all the metal parts. They installed the hood with large vents to dissipate heat. All the screws and bolts were precisely tightened. The car is now ready for road testing. The team is excited to see the final performance.